Well, next up is Bijal from EuroIX.
Thank you.
Do you have them? Yes, you have them. Great.
Hello and good afternoon, everyone. It's really nice to be back in Stockholm at the Netnod Meeting. I think it's been about 6-7 years, so it's always nice to visit the city. So, EuroIX is an association of IXPs. And here's our current members. We have 70 IXP members today. Our newest one is Layer Switch, which joined in February. So it's great that the membership continues to grow. We also have patrons. And patrons are typically organizations that work closely with internet exchange points. So it's great to see that we have some of the patrons here at the Netnod meeting. It's been lovely catching up with you all. But if you're interested in joining as a patron, then please come and speak to me. But yes, we like our patrons and we work closely with them. So, what do we do? So, like I said, EuroIX is an association of IXPs. We hold 2 events a year where approximately 40 internet exchange points come together to talk about their operations, to talk about what they're doing technically, commercially, and just exchange information about internet exchange points so that they can help each other and grow. We also have a number of workshops and hackathons. During COVID times, these were all virtual and online, but now I'm very happy to say that we can actually meet again and do these face-to-face. We have also a number of reports, we do newsletters, we have a mailing list, and we also did virtual sessions, which we're continuing to do, which are actually open to the whole community. Did something happen? Which is open to the whole community, and there's some really interesting talks available on the EuroIX website on those. Things like, what's the future of interconnection? How can we promote IXPs and work better with IXPs and things like that. We also have a number of tools, and we work on community projects. I'm going to be talking about our 2 key projects that we're running at the moment, and that is the IXP database and the peering toolbox. So you'll hear more about those later on in my presentation. But other things that we do, of course, focused around internet exchange points, is we have a fellowship, a Mentor IX program where IXPs, long-standing IXPs can help new IXPs if they're struggling in any of their development or growth. Something that we did as part of a workshop was we have a standard root server large BGP community list. That is also published on the EuroIX website. And we share that with all the IXs in hope that they can use that to make peering easier for the networks that are connected to the IXs. For those that are wondering what an IX is, or if you want to share this with your family, like what is it that you do? I know I always get asked this question, and now I can simply point them to a video, which is also very nice. So we have released a new video this year, and that's about internet exchange points, and has a really nice little take on explaining what an internet exchange point is to friends and family, let's say, or people that aren't in our industry. Before I carry on with my presentation, I am doing an interactive session today, so I would like everyone to be ready. This slide will come up a few times, yeah, so get ready for that. Okay, so I'm going to talk about the IXP database. The IXP database is a trusted source of information about IXPs. What we have is a community-driven standard schema that allows IXPs to report their data in a standard automated fashion. So what data do we have in the schema? We have information about the IXP participants, so the ASNs. We have IXP locations, so where the IXPs are actually located. We also have information about hardware used at IXPs and its participants, and of course root servers. You can find the JSON schema on GitHub, and something that PeeringDB has also implemented is that you can, as a network, if you want the IX to accept the JSON schema from, you can tick a box in PeeringDB, and then that means that you don't have to update the PeeringDB every time you get a new network at that IX. And so there's a tick box. So if you're interested in semi-automating that process, please take a look at the PeeringDB docs there. So I'm going to go through some of the data that you can find on the IXP database. First of all, we have IXPs connected by ASNs. So you can see the number of networks that are connected to the IXP. And if you look in the column where it's got API, those are the IXs that actually share their data automatically. So we're actually getting those updated through the IX itself. And yeah, so you can see all the ones that we have listed there is all automated. So you can see every time there's a change, you can see the changes. We have newest IXPs in the database. So of course, we all know that IXPs are being developed. There is a need for IXPs in lots of different locations. And we can see when an IXP is added to the database, you can see which ones are there. So if you're looking out to join IXPs, it's a good place to keep an eye on and see where new IXPs are turning up. We also show the latest IXP connections. So this is showing the networks that have actually recently joined the IX. So you can see here that the EIX in Mumbai had a new AS join on, and you can see the date and everything. I'm not going to go through the slide, but you can look at that and get more information about what networks are joining at what exchange. So if you're a peer and you're looking to peer with a particular network, you can see where they're peering as well. We also have a compare function. I've compared links over here, and what you can see is the different how many locations they're at, what their topology is like, the number of unique ASs present at the Internet Exchange, and also the number of common ASNs. So you can see how many ASNs are common at the different exchanges. So if you're looking to peer somewhere and you're looking for more unique ASs, you can see the list by doing a comparison of the IXs there. So that's where we are right now. In the future, we're looking to collect more data. We're encouraging IXPs to adopt to the schema. Currently, we have 284 IXPs that are reporting to the database. We're looking to work on visualizations. So it's not just tables you'll be looking at. You'll be able to visualize the data via maps and other ways that you can look at the data. And also, you can download the data. So that is also actually available now. You can download some of the data via CSV. And then if you want to kind of take it away and compare and do whatever you need to do with that data, you can do that in your own time, in your own space. Next steps, we're looking to finalize the traffic API. So we do have a traffic schema. And this will then make it easier for us to collect traffic data from IXs. Data validation, so we're looking at ways in which we can actually validate the data, because of course, the whole point of a database is to have as much accurate information as you can, and that's something that we're really striving for. And then lastly, what we want to do is identify useful third-party data. So already in the IXP database, we import data from PeeringDB, so for example, types of networks. So in PeeringDB, you can define what type of network you are, and that we bring over to the IXP database. So it makes it very clear to see what types of networks are peering at the exchange. So for example, if you're looking for access networks, you can see how many access networks are present at the exchange compared to other exchanges as well. So there's lots of really useful information in the IXP database. There is a mailing list for users. As I said before, you can look at the JSON schema. There is an API, so you can get all the data not only through the web interface, but also through an API. Of course, there is a website, so where you've just seen some of the screenshots. So if you want to see more information or more up-to-date information, you can have a look there. And we have an admin team. So if you have any questions, feel free to drop us a line, and hopefully we can help you. So that's the IXP database. Oh, and lastly, I want to say a big thank you, obviously, to sponsors, because without sponsors, we wouldn't be able to run this project. So yeah, big thank you to the sponsors. I think there's some of them in the room here. Again, reminder of the Slido code, which we will be doing shortly. Right. Next, I'm going to talk about the Peering Toolbox. So the Peering Toolbox is a community-focused learning tool. And as we know, the situation in how ISPs were seen 20 years ago and how they're seen today has changed. In that, 20 years ago, ISPs were the ones that were providing internet transit to organizations, and enterprise networks would traditionally go to an ISP to get transit. But what's happened? Over time, the internet has obviously become an essential part of everyone's organizations. And so, there are certain networks now that are thinking, right, we want to take more control on how we run or how our network is seen in the internet. And so businesses need to or want to optimize their services. So what's the problem? Growth in the importance of internet to business. Operations is driving more enterprise networks to manage their own connections to the internet. Obviously, managing this comes with risks because not all enterprise networks have the experience or skills. And now there's more than one relationship where before enterprise networks or smaller networks may have been dealing with just their transit provider, the ISP. Now they're dealing with one IXP, maybe multiple IXPs, but also they have direct peers that they need to at least respond to and hopefully peer with. So there's a lot more going on for networks that are joining IXs. So like I said, the enterprise networks now take on the roles that was previously the responsibility of the ISP. So there's a lot to learn, and there's where do we start? Questions like what is an ASN? Why should I be peering? Who do you speak to? Where do you get an ASN from? So these questions aren't obvious to people that are looking to join internet exchange points. So the solution is the Peering Toolbox. The Peering Toolbox is a community-focused EuroIX project. A number of organizations came to EuroIX and said, OK, we're seeing a lot of enterprise networks joining the IX, and we're having to go through a lot of hand-holding and training just to give them some information on how they should be doing things right. So we decided that there needed to be some sort of educational program that allowed IXPs and other networks to point to say, right, go here. This is where you're going to find the information. So what have we done? We're put together, the aim is to provide a learning structure and best practice information for new entrants in the interconnection community. The idea is that the toolbox will act as a reference guide. So like I said, as an IXP, if you're working with networks that aren't sure what they should be doing, you can point them to the toolbox and say, well, have a look at this. The other thing about the toolbox is, there is already some work out there, and a lot of the IXs and networks have already done some work to packages and documentation and training material. So what we're doing is we're not necessarily creating everything from scratch. We're saying, okay, if you have some good information, give it to us and we'll include it in the peering toolbox. Who's the target audience? Well, everyone who's involved with peering. So we have the website, which is going to be focused on learning. There's going to be short sections with clear explanations of what each topic means and how to learn from each topic. And then it's sequential as well. So when you're learning, you can actually see what you need to go through, what phases and where you need to be to learn what you want to learn. And it also includes, of course, the IXP database and PeeringDB. We were lucky enough to hire a product manager for this, and that is Philip Smith. Some of you may know him. He's been doing training and education for 25 years plus. So what he's doing is he's bringing all this information together and putting it in a structured format so that it's easy for people to understand and follow. The URL for the Peering Toolbox is peeringtoolbox.net, so please feel free to take a look. The beginners section is done. We're now working on the intermediary section, and then it will be the advanced. So yeah, please take a look and let us know what you think. So here's a quick couple of snapshots of what you can see. So there, you've got the beginners section there. And there's also a button to say, let's chat. So if you have a question, if you're going through something and you say, oh, I wonder what that is, then you can straight away send us a message and we'll reply back to you at some point. Questions like, what is a network operator? What is peering? What is an internet exchange point? These are the kind of questions that you'll see. Where to peer? What is required for peering? And then, of course, establishing peering. So all of this is all in the beginners section. OK, so I've talked about URIX. I've talked about the IXP database. I've talked about the peering toolbox. So one thing that I wanted to do in today's session was actually get some feedback from you, the networks, the people that are connected to the internet exchange points. And the reason for this is while that URIX is an association for internet exchange points, a lot of the work and the projects that we work on help the internet exchange points, our members, but also it's for the wider community. So the tools that I've talked about, for example, today, are tools that you can all use. And of course, without the peers, there would be no IXP. So that's why the topic of my presentation is don't forget the peers. So, like I said, I've highlighted two of our projects today, the IXP database and the peering toolbox. And now I want to hear from you what you, what's important to you to make your peering decisions. And hopefully take something back so that we as URIX can work on more community projects that can help you. So that's the end of my presentation, but I'm going to go over to the Slido now. I hope that you've all managed to get logged in. Oh, here we go. Oh. How did that happen? OK. It seems like a... Did it already go on to the question? OK, so anyway, this is the first question. Oh, no, it's not. Hang on. Yes. So I've broken down this interactive session into two parts. So the first part is the IXP and the interaction. So that's your interaction with the IXP. And the second part is about data and tools. So let's start. The IXP and interaction. How many, so this is just a nice, easy question for everyone to get you going and used to using the Slido. How many internet exchange points are you currently peering at? All right. 2 to 4 seems to be the most popular in the room today. And 15 plus, wow. Okay, so you're the people that this is for. Excellent. Okay, what challenges have you experienced with IXPs? And you can pick one. Pricing, communication, root servers, time to connect, agreements, contracts, technical know-how at the IXP. There's also a something else, and if anyone is ticking something else, I'd really like to hear what it is. Is anyone going to be brave enough to say there's something else? No? Okay. The IXP and interaction again. What's the most useful thing about IXPs? Saving costs, having control of your own traffic, training and learning opportunities that the IXP provides, reducing latency to key destinations, or something else. Again, if you say something else, I'd love to hear what that is. All right. Next up, I've just presented the peering toolbox. Do you find this a useful tool, and will you use it in the future? Oh, great. That's good. I know we've got a real mix of people in this room in terms of roles, because of course Netnod does DNS and time as well, so it's not just peering. Excellent. Okay, what challenges do you experience when managing your peering? So now we're talking about your peer-to-peer relationship. Peers lacking technical knowledge, peers lacking business knowledge, communication with peers about peering, access to accurate data, availability of tools to support peering decisions, or something else. And again, if you've got something else, I'd love to hear what that is. Interesting. Anyone want to say there's something else? Okay. I also spoke about the IXP database in my presentation. Now that you know about the tool, are you likely to use it? Great. Okay. What data do you find useful when deciding to join an IXP? Overall traffic at the IXP, individual port traffic, it's just moved around, number of ASNs at the IXP, individual port traffic at an IXP, the types of network to peer with at an IXP, individual port traffic, I think I said that, information about vendors used, member versus commercial model, and then again something else. Oh, that's interesting. What data do you find useful when making peering decisions? The number of routes, overall traffic, per peer traffic, traffic patterns, the amount of ASNs, unique ASNs, yeah. Okay, data and tools. What's missing that would make peering a pleasure and not a pain? Clear pricing, accurate, reliable data, peering policies, routing information, or something else? Again, anyone on the something else want to elaborate? Everyone's really shy. If there was one thing IXPs could do better, what would that be? And this is free text. All right, sensible answers, please. See, this is why I just left one text, open text field. So we have reduced pricing, more stickers, more pops, beer, price. I don't know if it's possible to scroll down. No. Yeah, okay. And that's the end of the Slido. I'm going to try and shut this off before that person gets... Oh, thank you. All right. Thank you, everyone, for listening to my talk and for taking part in the interactive session. All this information is really useful, well, some of it, for us to take back to EuroIX and see what we can do to help the community more. So thank you, everyone, for listening.